Oh, we have iPad apps for reading instruction and assessment.
Okay, so the thing with iPad apps, you may be asking which components of reading would iPads be addressing? It's a trick question because all 5. You can find apps that can do one specific one, and you can also find apps that can do all 5 of them. It's really whatever app you want to use. And then with group and individual, it's the same thing. You can find apps that fit really whatever you want to do. If you have enough iPads so that people have to have partners, you can find group apps. And if you have iPads for each child or do it in shifts or something, you can do more of an individual approach for iPad apps.
Oops. That's a little slow.
And then cost. So we all know that we aren't going to be making a lot of money. So it might be like, we might be thinking, hope I'm not spending my own money on these apps. Well, some school districts will actually pay for some, so that is nice when they do. I don't know how frequent that would be, but, and so they can range from any type of money from $0 to $50 or $100, just depending on what app you get and how good it is, I guess. But you can really find free apps. Like I've done several education classes where you had to find an app, and I've had no trouble finding free apps. So that just really varies. And then how to use it. In this day and age, most kids have either have their own iPad or their parents have a smartphone. So most kids know how to use apps pretty efficiently at this age, at the time that they go to school. So really just kind of focus their attention towards whatever app you have, and then they'll kind of really do the rest, typically.
Alright, so one of the apps we looked into is Learning with Homer, and this app is actually one that we found that has a lot of research behind it. They've been able to do studies, very highly reviewed by everybody who's looked at it. Kind of some of the things that they talk about that they touch on is the phonemic awareness, reading, and comprehension. There's a lot of different activities going into this, from just playing games to like clicking on words that have a certain sound, to listening to nursery rhymes and songs, to old folk tales and stories that they can read. They did a blind study that showed that the use of this app helped increase their phonological awareness and print knowledge. While we were looking at the blind study, it had a lot of really good information on it, but we were also kind of curious as to how exactly they were able to do a blind study with kids and how that really worked out. This is kind of the individual approach. This is one-on-one the kids working on their app. However, they do have a little thing in there called pigeon posts, where the kids are able to like send postcards to each other, or to their teachers, or to like their parents. The content, they have a whole thing on their website about how it relates to all of the Common Core standards, and they literally hit on every single one for reading, which is really nice, and it shows you exactly what part of the app connects with that. You can download on the desktop, the iPad, and the iPhone, which is nice also because I mean, if you just have like at Sioux Center Elementary, they have just like Google Chromebooks. Right now for this year, it's free for educators. So if they were downloading this year, they had it for free. Otherwise, it's like $5.49 a month, but you can do also a 30-day free trial. I wasn't able to find any information based on, as a school district, how much a school district would pay to use it, but that's just kind of the general information on that. It's very research-based, like I said. There's games, rhymes and songs, letter and sound recognition, coloring, postcards, and these are just some screenshots of what the game looks like. And then there's also a teacher dashboard where the teacher is able to see how the students are performing on these, what they're mastering, what they've looked at, what they still need to learn, and then it can also help you see, okay, I need to touch on these in the class outside of using the app.
Alright, so the next app we looked at was an app called Lightsail. So basically what it is, it's an extremely large online library full of books for students. There's over 2,000 books for all age levels, K through 12, so it's an app they can use throughout every grade level that you ever teach. And how it kind of works is, as the students read the books, there are comprehension questions like throughout the chapters or every so many pages or so on and so forth to measure the students' understanding. And then there's like a big quiz at the end to like see if they understood the book. So what skills it work on, it kind of focuses mainly on comprehension and like understanding what the students are reading, and also works on literacy because the more you read, the better you get at it. It also helps students get excited about independent reading because it has a wide variety of books. So the teachers can help the students look, or they can look themselves, and they're able to find books that they like, and then after they finish a book, it recommends other books that they might like based on the book that they just read. And also, so depending on how well they do on the comprehension questions, it might move them up a grade level if they do well enough on those quizzes, and it continues to move them up as they go on. So that's a really handy feature that you don't necessarily have to bump it up themselves. It does it, the app does it itself. How can it be used? As I said before, it's through K through 12. You can use it as like the whole class could use it, or you could use it as an individual. And something that's really, really nice is like there's the teacher can have the app too, and it like sends information to the teachers, like I guess teaching like overview, and it shows like how the students are doing, like how much they're like reading, how well they're doing on the quizzes, like what level they're at, and they can make adjustments based on that. And I think that's really nice. But one of the things that this app could fall short in is oftentimes measuring comprehension does not do very well when it's just like A, B, C, or D. So you can use the app, and then you can look at the books they're reading and try to find activities that they can do outside of the app, because technology is great and technology is being more and more used, but sometimes you gotta get out of the iPad sometimes. So how does it work? Or does it work? There's not a ton of research on this app just yet because it's a rather new app, but I looked on Common Sense, which is a website we've been using a lot in our science class, and both teachers and the app gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, so everyone that's used it so far has very much enjoyed it. There's a bunch of teacher reviews also on Common Sense that they were just raving about it, and one was like, it's a highly effective tool to get students engaged in reading, and the more engaged we can get students in reading, the better. It's being used in over 500 school districts across the nation, and it's currently growing every single day. So yeah, that's Lightsail. Oh, and it's also, to throw it in there, it's also a free app for school districts, so we like free apps.
So some of the strengths of using an iPad for reading instruction and assessment. The nice thing is that teachers and parents can collaborate together. So if the parents have an iPad at home, they can download a similar app or the same app as the teachers, so the kids can get practice at school and at home, which is important. I read an article by Ted Hasselbring that 5 reasons readers need technology, so just kind of the overall view of what technology does to students. So the first one is technology is adaptive. So you can choose a reading app you can change it to the grade level, reading level, so it just can really be for any student, so it fits their learning. Technology is also good at facilitating repetitive practice. So if they're really struggling with something, there's plenty of apps out there that you can just download and they can just continually practice with that skill. It's available anytime, anywhere, as long as it takes like Wi-Fi to download it, but once it's downloaded, you can use it in the car, on the bus, anywhere. It's superb at gathering and processing data, so a lot of the apps that the districts can download, like they said before, can send the data right to the teacher, so the teacher can see where the students are in the learning or reading. And it can also be motivating, so like for younger kids, it's exciting to use an iPad. It can be kind of like a treat for them, so that could also be a great way to get them excited about reading. And some of the weaknesses I read about just kind of looked at technology overall again. So the first one was technology changes the way children think. So one of them says that they don't have any empathy after a while because they're just so used to that screen time. So not interacting face-to-face with one another can really just change the way their brains are wired. Kind of the second one kind of goes along with that, just they don't know how to feel for one another. So it's just getting away from that screen is always a very good thing. Depending on the app, technology can put privacy and safety at risk if it's not used properly. So teachers need to make sure that all the precautions are put in place beforehand so the kids aren't getting into any trouble with it. And the number 4 is kind of a stretch with like the reading part, but so more use of technology with less physical activity leads to obesity. So I mean that's a big talk today in our society. But in my paper I just kind of said how students still learn about reading and phonics and stuff, talking with each other face to face. They might not realize that, but just that interaction can really help them develop those reading and phonics and all that. And then a quote from Pamela Deloach, to make the best out of tools of technology, teachers and parents must also recognize their downsides and how to avoid them. So just, technology can be a great tool in a classroom, it's just, it needs to be used properly and efficiently, and the kids need to be able to become better students by using the technology.
There's a